Well, welcome to this forum for the candidates for County Treasurer, Athens County, Ohio. And tonight our candidates are Bill Bias and Abe Elisef, from left to right. Let me review our ground rules for this evening. If you've been here before, you know them, perhaps, but since the lead is precise on the timing, we ought to hear those too. So we'll start off with a 3-minute introductory statement, and the order was chosen by lot earlier. Bill Bias will make the first statement, and then Abe Elisef. And then when we come to the questions, Bill, you'll answer the first question first, and then after that, it will rotate. Okay, and after the introductory statements, we'll have questions from the news media, and we have Sarah Brumfield, who will ask the first question from the Athens Messenger, and David DeWitt of the Athens News, and is that Alexander over there from the Post? At any rate, he'll soon have his name down. It's not. I'll soon know who the man in the green hat is, and he's from the Post. We'll call upon you for the question in order 3, and then after those 3 questions, we'll turn to questions from you in the audience. And when those begin to wind down, we'll go back to the media for one more round. That sounds like my problem. For the questions, each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to answer each question. And we want to encourage you in the audience to submit questions because they have a lot of thoughtful things from you, and that's a key part of this evening. When we've run out of questions, why then we will turn to closing statements. And again, that order was drawn earlier, and random numbers being what they are, Bill Bias will give the closing statement first, and then Abe, and those will be 2 minutes. Okay, with that, well, let's see. Alan Smith of the Post. Alan, thank you for coming. I don't want to forget your name. Okay, let's start in, and Bill Bias, your opening statement, 3 minutes.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the League of Women Voters for hosting this event.
Bill?
Yes? Is that what we need to do? Okay. In many ways, I feel that I've been in training for all of my adult professional life for this position. My qualifications and experience are this. I have a Bachelor of Arts degree in Political Science from the College of Arts and Sciences at OU, and a Master's in Health Services Administration from the College of Health and Human Services, also from OU. My professional career, I have been a licensed administrator, nursing home administrator for over 30 years. And I have applied that trade around this county and beyond. I have been administrator of Arcadia, Hickory Creek, Rock Springs, and Pomeroy. I've also served as a regional director of operations for Extendicare, was responsible for all of the Ohio operations, and for a period of time was regional subacute and rehabilitation director for Ohio, Indiana, and Kentucky. One of my latest roles, I served as the project director to develop the new facility, now operating on Columbus Road as Laurels of Athens. In my public service, I have had 4 terms as a Athens City Council at-large member. I served for 4 years as Athens City Treasurer, and then I served as 10 years for President of Athens City Council. Now, why are qualifications and experience so important for this role? At any given time, the treasurer is responsible for as much as $50 million in deposits, and as of close of business on Monday, there were $33 million in investments. All of these have to be reconciled to the reports that are produced by the auditor's office and have to be reconciled back to all the different fund balance reports. It's a lot to do. I will draw upon my experience as Athens City Treasurer to make sure that this role is done effectively. And also, one of the things that the Treasurer does is serve on the Athens County Budget Commission. In that role, they play an integral part in forecasting what the certified resources will be, which helps the county commission set what the budget can be. I will draw upon my experience as finance chair and working with the Athens city auditor in that role. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Abe Alasa.
I also would like to thank the League of Women Voters for the invitation tonight, as well as the county library. As for reasons why I'm qualified to run, I have honesty. I learn quick, and I was an Athens High School graduate, and unless there's some near catastrophe, I will be a Ohio University alumni with a BA in pre-law this December. My father passed away in 2010, and upon his death, I had assumed head of household with my mother being out of state, and took on a responsibility that I hope no one ever has to deal with. But I stepped up to the plate and took guardianship over my brother and sister, renting my father's estate and his properties, assuming his spot as landlord for his properties, as well as taking care of my brothers and sisters. I wanted to run because I saw that there was only one candidate running, and I myself like choice, and I had assumed the voters of Athens County do as well, so I'm that other option. I also, if elected, will be a government watchdog. I will be cashing checks and making note of income, and if I see something questionable, I'm going to say something about it. I'm not going to sit by and let things go as usual when it goes to the good old boy system in any locality. Also, I would like to set up a county treasurer website, which we do not have at this point. Make it possible for property taxes and other various taxes, but predominantly the property tax to be paid online through debit and credit card transactions, and hopefully phase out the paper trail and save money and time. So I hope you guys will all take the time to look at my website, athens.org. I've taken the time to sit down with the current treasurer, Javon Kettle Cooper, and talk with her about how her office works. And if elected, I have almost a whole year to be in her office and learn how it works and get some on-the-job training. So it's not going to be some learning as you get elected. Other than that, I appreciate for all you guys being here and participating in our democracy. Thank you.
Thank you, Abe. Okay, we'll turn to questions. Bill, you'll address this first, and Sarah Brumfield, Athens Messenger.
This is a question that's addressed to both of you, and I think, Abe, you probably already addressed this, but why did you want to run for the seat? I mean, what do you think that you can, why do you want to be treasurer?
Well, the position came open, and there's both personal and professional reasons. I think professionally I have all the requisite requirements and experience and training that would best suit the job. And personally, if you heard me go over what I've done in the last 30 years of being a nursing home administrator, I've traveled all over up to 3 states, and frankly I got awfully tired of being on the road and living away from Athens, not living away, but being away way too much. And I would love to go to a nice office on Court Street and work with some nice people and ensure that the job is done well.
Thank you. Abe?
So your question again was asking what I will...
Why you want to be treasurer?
Why I want to be treasurer. I stated a lot of that in my opening, but to reiterate, I want to honestly serve my local citizens. I've lived in Athens my whole life, born in Athens, probably die in Athens, and I just want to help out my county. And being in a public office, no matter what it may be, is I think my avenue to doing that. Also, as I said, I want to set up a county treasurer website, which we do not have yet. I also want to invest money in a safe and profitable manner. As Bill has said, he's got a long list of qualifications, and I'm not even going to try to act like I can top him on that. He has me on that, but I'd like to say it doesn't mean a thing if you can't be trusted.
Thank you. So for our next question, and I'll just remind
It's
the
my turn.
audience and everybody, these are 1.5 minute answers, or maximum. And for the next question, we'll turn to David DeWitt of the Athens News. David?
Thank you, Ellsworth.
And Dave, this is yours. I should have said that.
Yeah.
You've got it.
In the last state budget, there was a lot of cuts to local government funds coming down from the state level, and that looks to only continue in the next state budget coming up in 2013, and perhaps be eliminated entirely is what some people are suggesting. As treasurer, how would you help steward Athens County through that time?
Through in my own office, I would try to find ways to cut money. One of my ideas for that, as I've stated before, is a county treasurer website. I walked into Javon Kettle Cooper's office for a meeting I had with her, and I watched one of the nice ladies there. She's taking a Scantron gun, like you see at a supermarket, and scanning every single one. And I'm assuming there's one for every parcel of land in the county. And I'm thinking, man, that's labor intensive, and there's got to be some better way to do it. And not only could we save time, save that poor woman's time and the hassle, but we could also cut out a paper trail, hopefully, eventually. I myself, I know I can't take a pay cut, and I guess it's mostly symbolic, but the county treasurer makes close to $56,000 a year. I myself don't need that type of money and would donate a significant amount back to the general fund. So.
Thank you. Bill?
The office recently has already cut personnel in the last round, and when you look at a 5-person office and one of the employees was eliminated, that makes it pretty tough to begin with. So I really, for an office that does what they do, really hope we don't have to look at any personnel cuts at all. As I answered in my written response to the League of Women Voters, I too agree with doing any type of improvement to the way that we collect the taxes, and website improvements can certainly be there. I've also suggested that we continue taking the credit cards. That isn't totally implemented yet, but it's getting close. But you have to do these things following the law and making sure that the funding's there to do it. And some of these implementations cost money that right now the office doesn't have. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Let me invite members of the audience to put on your thinking caps and feel free to send some questions and, over. Oh, you've already got some there. Good, thank you. In that case, I should be commending you, and I didn't see them. We don't need them yet. We have one more round of questions, but when I glanced, I didn't see anything. I thought, okay. And so for this question, we'll turn to Alan Smith of the Post, and Bill, you will address it first.
Thank you.
Well, Bill, you mentioned that at any given time the treasurer could be in control of about $50 million. So what is your plan on how to handle that amount of money?
Well, there are systems in place now where it is being well handled. Our present treasurer has done a great job for many years. I believe Siobhan has been there for 16 years, and following the systems that are set up is a real good beginning. But figuring out what the cash flow needs are to make sure that you are investing both securely is number one, liquidity is number two, and trying to get a return is number three. So following those three rules, you have to make sure that everything that is being invested is secure, but number two, liquidity is so important so that when the county's payrolls are coming up, you sweep the money into an account and do that, and that you don't have things invested in too long a term that you are not watching the cash needs. But having served as the treasurer for the city of Athens, I'm used to doing that. Thank you.
Thank you. Abe?
When I went in to speak with Mrs. Cooper, I was told that the county has an advising consultant firm, and I'm going to use their input as well as my own ideas and my aides to make safe investments that will hopefully generate good return for the county, and work with the commissioner's office as well as the auditor's office to make sure that that's carried through.
Thank you. Okay, now we'll turn to some questions from the audience, and Abe, you'll address this one first. What can be done to better collect delinquent taxes?
Better delinquent taxes. I think that the best option would be to make it easier for people to pay taxes. I know until I started paying property taxes up until a couple years ago, where is the treasurer's office? Like, I didn't have a clue, and it's in some remote corner on the third floor of the city building. So I think that it would be make it better if we were more accessible, and I think a lot of that also can be solved by a website. I mean, we're moving into we're in the 21st century now, and the internet's the way of the future. And if people know where we're at, and also, I mean, we're becoming a lot more tech savvy, and being able to pay transactions online from the comfort of your house, I would think it would increase that, as well as being just accessible. So.
Thank you. Bill?
Well, at the point that they are too delinquent, there is a process in place, and I would continue to work with the prosecuting attorney to implement foreclosure, but only after any avenue where appropriate that a plan of payment cannot be worked out. And there are some things that the treasurer has a latitude to work out a payment plan for some people within guidelines that are set in law. But also, I pay my property taxes online. I do it through Chase. And, you know, there are those options now, but putting in credit cards where the person paying the taxes has to assume the processing fee for the credit card is important. And that's something that has to be done that's a little bit differently when you're working with a government entity. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, we're ready for the next question, and Bill, you'll address this first. What constitutes good investment timing?
Good investment timing, I would think, would be making sure that you get the maximum interest that you can get. And boy, is this ever a different interest environment than I dealt with when I was the city treasurer. In the 4 years I was city treasurer, we made over $1 million more than what we were budgeted to make on interest. But we were playing with like 3.5% interest. Today, if you would invest in a government T-bill, I think for 2 years, I think today I saw the interest rate was 0.26%. So it's very difficult. When I was investing city funds, literally you could not invest in any type of equities. That law has now been changed that you can invest in some AAA rated corporate bonds, which we do have some. About 20% of the investments are now there. They are a safe thing to do, but you know, we've got to be careful. If we would suddenly start having interest rates go up, we do not want to get into the condition that Orange County got into in '96, which is legendary. So you have to be very, very careful on how long you have things out so that you do not find yourself in the need of having to cash things in too quickly, and my time has ran out. Thank you.
Thank you. Abe?
Timely investments. I think after the financial crisis of 2008, it's made us all leery in our system. Once something that we thought was pretty secure just deteriorated in front of us. So I think that, and honestly, I don't believe in usury. I think that it's heinous, but we have to do it to make some money. But I think also a thing that can be done is live within our means. If we're having to invest in things that bring back interest, we're not living within our means. You need to be able to live within the means that you can, on the money that you collect, not on money in the future that we think we can get through some safe investment that may or may not be the safest investment after all. After 2008, I think a lot more people would agree with that.
Thank you. Now this next one is related to that one, and the answer has been touched on, and I'm sitting here thinking, shall I set it aside or not? So I think I'll continue, and so I'll say to you two when you hear the question, and Abe, you get it first, please be specific. So let me read the question, and then maybe I'll make a slight comment. What are you allowed to invest county funds in? So there are a lot of different kinds of assets that people can acquire, and so this one is basically saying, of those, which ones are you permitted to invest in, and then the others presumably not, which you can mention or not. So what is a county treasurer permitted to invest county funds in, if you pardon the sentence structure?
Yeah.
I didn't write it.
I discussed this with Javon about a couple months ago, and there are a lot of regulations through the state that county treasurer is allowed to invest in. I know the specific example she cited was during the 70s and 80s when we saw precious metals soar. A lot of county treasurers thought it would be a safe investment, and well, that bubble burst, and a lot of counties were down and out. So as specifically what investments, I really don't know, but I will learn once in office. It's not something hard to figure out what you can invest in and what you can't. It's something that you're going to learn, and it's not something that's that hard to figure out.
Bill?
As I said in my previous answer, a little bit has been opened up on what you can invest in, and I do think that investment kind of misleads people as to what you do. Generally, you are buying 6-month, 1 year, sometimes up to 2-year CDs, T-bills, those kind of things, heavily guaranteed things that generally the federal government, FDIC, guarantees. But since the rate of return has been so bad, anybody that saved their money and has tried to live on money has learned that has not helped you out much, that now you can invest in some AAA rated corporate bonds. And if there is to be any type of return at all, probably a certain safe small amount of the county money could and should be invested there. Interest rates are so low right now, but the danger of them going up fast and getting caught with too many things and too long of a duration of investment could be very difficult, and that is something that I would watch out for.
Thank you, Bill. Okay, let's go to the next question, and Bill, you'll address this first. What interaction does the treasurer have with the county commissioners regarding investments for the county?
Well, there is a investment committee that the treasurer is on, and I believe 2 of the county commissioners also serve on that. No? Maybe all 3. Okay. And they, by law, must meet quarterly. The county commissioners sign off on the treasurer's report monthly. But they do try to come up with a strategy and a way to go that everybody is in agreement on how the money is invested. So it's not just the treasurer alone in that endeavor. The county commissioners also certainly has a say and a certain amount of oversight on that.
Thank you. Abe?
Yeah. Could you please state the question again?
Certainly so. What interaction does the treasurer have with the county commissioners regarding investments for the county?
This is another question that shows my lack of experience in the field, but it's something that I'm willing to, well, I will learn once in office. I know that you do have meetings with the commissioners and that you're on 4 or 5 other boards that will help with various spending and income activity.
Thank you. Okay, let's go to the next question. And Abe, this is yours first. What is the most important function of the treasurer?
It's to honestly and faithfully collect the taxes.
Okay, Bill?
Well, I think performing all the duties, both collect and account for, and make sure it is accurate, and do your best to invest it so that we do get a good return on our money, such as it is. You know, there are a lot of duties. You've got an office to run that serves the public, and I think it's important that you are accessible and you do a good job with the people that interact with your office. There are employees to supervise and the public to work with.
Thank you. Do we have any more questions in the stream? Or shall I turn to the news media? And we will invite anybody who has some brilliant thoughts out there, or even moderately brilliant. Why, I've got an extra pen. And so, Sarah Brumfield, let's turn to you again for a question, and let's see. Bill will answer this first.
Can I pass to David and go ahead and think of a question? I wasn't prepared.
Sure.
Recently, well over the past 2 years actually, each of these last 2 falls, the Budget Planning Commission has had to meet with the Children's Services and the DD Board to discuss their levy levels. And in both cases, they were reduced, and more recently, the DD levels stayed reduced. My question for you is, as a member of the Budget Planning Commission, that's an important role in the job of treasurer, how would you approach these situations working with those departments and other political subdivisions on their levies and the oversight of that?
Well, it's an important aspect. Sometimes you find that your levies are collecting too much money, and I believe that's what was happening there. And you do have to go in and adjust, and that doesn't necessarily make you one of the most popular people around, but you need to do it. You bring up a point that I think is somewhat misunderstood about what the treasurer does. The treasurer does not just collect property taxes. If there's a levy in the county, anywhere, that money goes through the treasurer's office. So that's all the schools, the children's services, mental health. If it's a levy, it goes through that office. That's why some of the numbers are so high. So that's a lot to account for, and the levy part of it is an aspect that, as city treasurer, I have not dealt with, but I've been talking with Siobhan a lot in the last several weeks, and your question is one of the things that she did bring up. Yes.
Thank you. Abe?
Once again, it's another thing that I'm not all too familiar with. I know that I would be a part of this commission, and that if there were a levy passed and these entities were entitled to it, I don't think I would try to cut it or take away from them what they wanted in the vote. And it's just one of these things that I don't know too much about, and I'm not going to make us act like I do, but it's something that I'm going to learn. I'm not going to, I will learn, and it's something that's not that hard, I think, to learn. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, we've got a question here from the audience, and so we'll give the news media a moment to think hard. And so, Abe, you'll answer this one first. Discuss the relationship between the county treasurer and the county auditor.
Yeah, when I met with Jill Thompson, she says she works hand in hand with the current treasurer. There's someone always in the office back and forth. But what happens is at the commissioner meetings, they decide where they want money to be spent. It goes to Mrs. Thompson's office, the current auditor, and she decides whether it's going to be spent or not. And then it comes to my office, and I've got to make sure it gets cashed, and any things that come in, I do that as well. And I'll make sure I work well hand in hand with a very experienced auditor.
Thank you. Bill?
During my time on both City Council, on the Finance Committee, and as the City Treasurer, I found myself working very closely with the City Auditor a lot. You're in their office all the time. This is not a completely correct statement, but to a certain extent, the Treasurer audits the Auditor. They are the ones that make sure that what the Auditor report says is in the bank is in the bank. So those are what you are reconciling back and forth. It was kind of interesting during the period of time that I was City Treasurer and Finance Committee Chair. Our auditors were all Republicans. Judy Hutchison, Jimmy Stewart, and so I do find it kind of interesting that I would be working, should I be the winner, with one of the few Republican office holders, county office holders. But I think it's important that everybody knows this is not a political job at all. There is no Democrat or Republican way to collect and account for the money. And I would look forward to working closely with Jill Thompson.
Thank you, Bill. Alan, you have a question for us?
I do.
All right, and Bill, you will get to address it first.
So what one quality about yourself makes you the best candidate for the job?
One quality, experience. Guess that's all I'm allowed to say.
I'd say honesty. Some of my friends say, like, when we get into discussion, that I'm just too blunt, and I actually pride myself on that. So I'd say honesty.
Okay.
I have a question.
Oh, yes, indeed. The floor is yours, and let's see, this will be Abe.
I know you both have talked about meeting with Javon during this process. Since you decided to run for treasurer, how much have you worked with Javon to learn the duties of the office and whether things need to be done to prepare for this role?
All right, yeah, I've met with Javon twice over the span of since I decided I was going to run. And I've also met with Commissioner Payne and Commissioner Sullivan. I actually hadn't had a chance to meet with Commissioner Eliason yet. I'd also spoke with, through email, to Prosecutor Blackburn, and also I had a very long conversation with Auditor Thompson. What if I were elected, I'd have a whole year from November 4th or November 7th, the day after, until I assume office in September of 2013 to be there every day. I will be graduating from college, so I have all the time in the world to learn what needs to be done.
Thank you, Bill.
I've known Javon for quite a few years. I have met with her a couple of times and have had extensive phone conversations, even right before this meeting. Yeah. We have discussed at length the similarities and differences between how the city treasurer's position works and what's similar and what's different and things that are different. What do I need to focus in on and learn?
Thank you, Bill. I see no more questions in the pipeline. If someone raises a hand vigorously, why, I'll look, but there's no sense in prolonging this beyond wisdom. And so, Ed Val, would you like to have a closing word or two? If not, that's right. I chuckle. There's always a danger that I forget the closing statements, and this is the second time in whatever it is that I have. And Bill Bias, by the random draw, acquired the first spot, and these are 2 minutes, are they not? So, Bill, it's yours.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I would again like to express my appreciation to the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this event and also for the work they do to help our electoral process be so much more informed. I would like to also take this opportunity to thank the citizens of Athens for having allowed me to take part in so much. When I first came to Athens at age 18 as a Ohio University freshman, fairly scared to death, I was the first in my family ever to get to go to college. I received an excellent education, which allowed me to have a rewarding professional career, serving the elderly by operating and developing nursing facilities. You entrusted me to take care of your parents, your neighbors, and your loved ones. As an at-large member of Athens City Council, you trusted me to debate and vote on the issues that came before our city. As treasurer of the city of Athens, you trusted me with your treasury, and 4 years later, every dime was accounted for, and the investments produced a return of over $1 million more than was budgeted. As president of council, I organized the work of council and saw to it that everyone who came before council was treated with respect and dignity. If you trust me with this position of Athens County Treasurer, I pledge to you that I will do the job with honesty, integrity, and hard work. I ask for your vote on November 6th. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Bill. Abe, your closing statement.
I, too, would also like to thank the League of Women Voters and the Athens County Library and whoever is watching this and here in the audience and soon to be on television. It's about local government where we're going to change things. It's not going to be on a national scale. We're going to change things locally, and that starts in debates and forums like this that we're having tonight. I've like my opponent, I don't have all the qualifications that he has, and I'm not going to act like I do. But I do know how to learn. I'm capable of that, and I will honestly and faithfully do the duties of the Athens County Treasurer, work along with the county commissioners and the county auditor and the county prosecutor to make sure that I fulfill the duties of my office to the best of my ability. I also just want to say that I have honesty, and that's something that I think that my candidate or my opponent lacks. And I know that he has the qualifications that beat me, but I'm not going to argue that. But I'm going to refer to a April 8, 2010 article from the A News and a closing statement by editor Terry Smith when it was speaking about Mr. Bias going for re-election as city council president. It says, then, when city council elections occur in 2010, residents can truly simplify his life, my opponent, by terminating his tenure as city council president. And at that time, they might consider doing the same to the elected city officials who have enabled Bias, their fellow Democratic Party, in his repeated conflicts of interest. And that's something that I don't have the citizens of Athens County worry about, that I will not have no conflicts of interest, and my priority is the county and my home and my neighbors and my friends, and that's one thing that they can count on me for.
Thank you, Abe. Okay, Ed, if you have something.
Just a couple of comments. We do have another forum here next Tuesday. It is the second of the County Commissioner Forum. It's always confusing because you have two people running, or two seats open, but it's called the January 2nd seat and the January 3rd seat. I don't know what your seat is. It's a January 1st seat, but it's a different year. So the January 3rd seat will be open. Some of you already know that Ann Cornwell has withdrawn from that race. And if you receive a ballot, you will have information of that. Chris Shamil and Randy Mace will be here. I hope you will come. Bring your friends. Bring your questions. That should be a good debate. And in order that the people who come may be able to write their questions, we ask you leave the pencils in the chairs. Thank you.